The brain. We live, we experience, we perceive, we believe through the mind which operates within and around the brain. And we measure it. We perceive it. Respond to it. It penetrates us. I am Dr. Kevin Jarina, Doctor of Chiropractic at Harmonious Healings in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and this is a presentation about neurofeedback and the process of how we do the analysis through brain mapping and what can be done to help many conditions in our world. Please stay tuned.
Well, let me just say hello and welcome to Discovering Neurofeedback and Brain Mapping. And I have Dr. Kevin Butterfield here. We'll be talking about what is neurofeedback, the science of the brain, and how the next wave of technology is helping us identify things and balance things in better ways than ever before. So I'll pass it off to Dr. Kevin.
Thank you for everyone who's coming in and listening to this. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into neurofeedback, what it is, what it isn't, and how it helps. People that are struggling a lot with a lot of cognition problems or things that we can trace back to the brain misfiring. You can read this simple disclaimer. We are not here to diagnose or treat anything or offer medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. And what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, or maybe a lot of it, depends how much I talk. We'll talk about the cognitive crisis out there, what options there are for intervention, what neurofeedback is, and a couple case studies. My background, how I got here, is a little different than most. My dad was a brain surgeon, and he was the team doctor for the Detroit Tigers, so he took me to every home game with him. I never got to watch a home game because he always got called in to do some emergency brain surgery because he was always on call at the games. So what are you going to do with a 6-year-old kid? You're going to put him in the observation booth so he can watch the brain surgeries live. And I saw probably 50 of them since I was a little kid. And it always fascinated me, the brain, how it works, when it doesn't work. So I told my dad when I was very young that I wanted to be to follow in his footsteps. And he said, "Oh, no, you don't. Because when you cut through all the good to get to the bad, when you come back out, it's all bad." He goes, "Do something holistic. Do something that helps the whole body and then address the brain." So I became a chiropractor. I was a chiropractor for 25 years and I had a successful, busy practice. And when I was treating the parents as a chiropractor, I would always look in the room because they'd bring their kids in the room with them. And they always had this blank stare about them, or they were angry, or this, that, and the other. And I just always wanted to get down on my knees, look in those kids' eyes and say, "I know you're in there. I'm going to come get you." I didn't know what was wrong with them. So after doing a lot of research, I found out what helps kids that have focus problems, anger problems, this, that, and the other is neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is nothing new. It's been around since the 50s. Technology is super advanced. So then I started going to treat. I wanted a pediatric practice just on neurofeedback to help the kids. So then it came to those kids had parents that were struggling. They knew an aunt that had addiction problems. They knew somebody from the military, PTSD. So I expanded to everybody that had a brain and who was struggling, right? Because I wanted to help as many people as I can. So I got to the point where I was treating pro athletes. And then I got to the point where I was treating like IndyCar drivers and NASCAR drivers, giving them peak performance brain training to give them the best brain they could possibly have. But, little Timmy needs that, who suffers with ADHD as well. And other people that have cognitive decline issues, they need help as well. So this is if you adjust the car's telemetry, if you can't keep up with the pack, you come in the pits, they plug in their laptop into the car and they look at all this electronic data. They tweak that to make the car faster out on the track so it can catch up. So if you adjust the car's telemetry, it makes the faster car. And then I jumped in and adjusted the driver's brain telemetry to make a faster driver. Now I had to do a study, or IndyCar asked me to do a study with drivers from everything from go-karts all the way up. See if you can actually get them out on a racing simulator which I had in my office for like, drive their favorite track for 30 minutes. And they had not my brain mapping cap on. And then I said, okay, now don't get out of the simulator. I'm going to do some peak performance brain training on you for 30 minutes, and then get back out on the track again for another 30 minutes. Their times were more consistent. They were getting accelerating quicker out of the corner, braking deeper. So this helped them their times a lot. Now, we don't have a lot of pro athletes out there, but we all have brain issues as well. So we can usually trace back the cognitive crisis to a misfiring brain problem. And how you find the misfiring of the brain is through a brain map. But, either you have a condition, like it could be dementia, burnout, brain fog, memory issues, a lot of different things that are going on out there. You just watch the news, or just talk to your kids or your neighbor. You'll see a lot of problems out there. So it just has to be addressed. Now, everyone that has some kind of mental struggles, there's one of three things they can do. They can do nothing. That's an option. They can talk about it. That's another option. Or they can medicate it. That's all we've had for decades. That's all we did for decades. So if all this stuff was working, these graphs should be going the opposite direction as if they were working. They should all be going down. But the trend is everything's getting worse. So all these problems here that we see, you may be struggling with these. Your friends or your family could be struggling the same way, right? So you've probably tried those three above that I just mentioned. And obviously, if they're not working, there is something that can work. That's with the neurofeedback. Neurofeedback has, like I said, it's been around since the 50s. It's been around for a long time. It's been studied and researched a lot. And now it's labeled a level 1 treatment option for those that suffer with ADHD. Level 1 treatment option is highly effective. It helps with addictions, PTSD, depression, anxiety. You name it, I've seen it, right? I've seen thousands of patients as a chiropractor, and I've seen thousands more as just neurofeedback patients. So I've seen it come through the office. So when you get a brain map, and we'll explain that in a minute, it tells us exactly where the brain is working awesome and where your brain is struggling. Like if the brainwaves on the left here, those are the 5 that we look at. We know what they do and where. And if there's too little delta frequency, let's say, that could lead to poor sleep and fatigue. If there's too much of it, it could lead to brain fog and disorientation. So there's a lot of frequencies that we look at, a lot of targeted areas that we look at in the brain. So we can actually target the exact spot where the problem is in the brain. And I'll talk about why medicine misses that or why talk therapy can miss that. This is why everyone should get a brain map, because everybody's brain is unique, and it will validate your feelings because you can see where the brain is, like I said, overworking or underworking. And we can change that through neurofeedback training. This is a very interesting case that I had, and this kid had a concussion, a bad one. Now, after the concussion, he started to notice, or his parents noticed, that he was changing. He went from like an honor student kid to like a kid that got kicked out of school every day. His mom would drop him off at school, and she'd wait in the parking lot because she knew the principal was going to call and say, hey, come get your kid. He's acting up again, which was true. So they didn't know why his mood changed. They thought it was maybe hormones, which was a mistake. He was only 10. But he had drastic changes. He couldn't sleep. Like I said, he was angry all the time. And then he comes to us after a year and a half of doing the talk therapy route. That didn't work. Then he said, well, let's get a medication. That didn't work. So a year and a half after he did 2 of the 3 that I just mentioned, he came in like with this. This is his brain map. Everyone that gets a brain map has about 300 pages of reports. This is when we first saw him. So just to explain what we're looking at here, this over here is like the top of the head looking down. The nose is up top, ears are on the side. This is the back of the head. This is the side of the head looking this way. Now we put the cap on your head, and we take the raw signal under every single sensor, which is 19. We break that down into 9 frequencies, and we put that in a box of electricity. We compare it with somebody your age and your gender, If there's too much electrical activity in that box or too little, that can be a problem, but probably not with one box. So we put 6,800 around the whole brain to get a complete 3D picture of your brain, which is what these are here. So that's like one frequency here, the delta frequency, 1 to 3 hertz, theta frequency, and so on. All three of these plates here should be gray, no color at all. If there is a color in here, what color is it? It's going to be light blue to dark blue. The darker the blue, the more the brain is asleep in the area. And conversely, it could be yellow, orange, or red. Red is red hot, way too much electrical activity. So whatever part of the brain that electrical storm is over, underneath that cannot function the way it should at its highest level. So then, okay, we see it's red, it's overactive. Now, how much is too much or too little? We go by the Z-score number up here. That number should be 0, but there's no such thing as a normal brain, so they give you +2 or -2. This poor kid is 19.1, so he was ballistic and angry all the time because his brain was on fire. And this frequency is too much where these lines come together, these crosshairs. That gives us the targeted location, which is this brain area up here. And what that brain area does is this. So I tell the people that have a problem in that part of the brain, you could have a list of symptoms like this. And I tell them that's not their list, that's a list of the brain area. So I said to this mother, I said, if you see your boy in here, it's fine. If you don't, that's also fine. She went down the whole list and said, yep, that's him. So we could trace his problem to a overfunctioning brain that's on fire from the concussion. So this is after, well, that's before this 19.1, and it should be +2 or -2. This is after 30 sessions of treatments. This fire was put out. That's almost normal. So, of course, after he was all along the way, his grades started to get better. He was better in school. His anger issues went away. And why he was always angry and had a short fuse is this. This is another page of the map, but this is him again. These circles represent the top of the head looking down. Nose is up here. Ears are on the side. Black dots are the sensors on the head. These top 2 rows here should be gray. Anything from the center here over this way that's red, yellow, or orange, that means he's stuck in fight or flight mode. He's on high alert, on the edge of his seat, sitting in a chair, ready for some monster to jump through the front door that's not coming in. I couldn't tell him it wasn't coming in because his brain's telling him it is. But if you leave something in fight or flight mode long enough, it turns into PTSD. It just does. And anything from the center here over this way, these are your healing frequencies. Okay. Red is way too hot again, or it's way too cold. So he's actually stuck in fight or flight and rest and relax at the same time. You leave him in this condition long enough, he cannot unbreak himself from this. The neurofeedback will. Down here, this phase coherence, this tells us more like how your brain is functioning. The phase coherence means your brain shares information from one network to the other. If it's red, you're sharing way too much. If it's blue, you're not sharing enough. And the phase lag is what speeds is going around your brain. Red is too fast, blue is too slow. So a lot of people we see, it's like their mailman's driving through their neighborhood at 100 miles an hour, not touching the brakes, just chucking the mail out, hoping it gets in the box. In a lot of these cases, it's not. So this tells us the functionality of the brain. And this is after this boy had 30 sessions. His follow-up brain map is that. That's a high-functioning brain now. We cleared out the concussion that he did have. So again, he's good today. He comes in every now and then, gives me a hug before school, and says that he's doing great. Before school starts, not every day. We can also detect when we do a brain map is if you've ever had a concussion. Right? It tells us what the probability of everything I just showed you and everything on the maps and the reports says it could be from a concussion signature, 85% probable. Now that we know that, well, how bad is it? It gives us this reading, right? So what we can do here and why the pro athletes really like what neurofeedback does for them and our protocols that we do, because we have decades of experience in getting the right protocols into the training regimen, is you can see this gauge here go down after every subsequent brain map, which you do after every 10 sessions, because the targets change, the protocols change, well, this will come back as insignificant. So you essentially scrub the concussion out of there, so you don't have any issues down the road. Okay? Any questions at all? And since you
What's
came,
the
go ahead. Go ahead.
what's the range of sessions you've seen concussion patterns change?
I see them changing all of them. I mean, if they come in like this boy comes in like this, let's say, we train them for 10 sessions with a different protocol. I mean, with a protocol, and then every 10 sessions after that's a different protocol to get all the scrubbed out. Because we have to get the brain talking good to it, well to itself again, like the front and back side of the brain, left and right, getting that kind of smoothed out. And then the second 10 sessions, we go ahead and we go train all 6,800 boxes at the same time to get the brain networks talking better to itself and firing at the correct amplitudes that we have to have it. In the last 10 sessions, we balance the autonomic nervous system so everything stays there.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So for those of you that attended today, or you're listening to this video now, we will offer a special brain map for you. And it includes a consultation with me. We can see what your brain is doing, where the struggles are, what help we could offer to get you back where you got to be. So we can get you out of the pits and back on the track.
Is there, so one of my clients who couldn't come tonight asked, is there a minimum amount of sessions and how many sessions can be done in a week?
Well, they recommend 2 or 3 a week. You got to give your brain a day of rest after you do a session. The sessions are 20 minutes each. The brain map itself is 20 minutes. So yeah, that would be about, I mean, I've had addiction problems that I would see twice a day for a month, but I mean, severe addiction problems, right? This works really good with addictions because if you go the traditional route of inpatient, outpatient, you have to go 6 times to make it work, and there's only a 7% success rate. This, with our advanced protocols, there's over an 85% success rate with doing it this way, because you can see the addiction gate on the brain map, and you have to close the addiction gate. You have to close the reward center. I had a nurse that came in. She was on lupus medication for a long time, but her doctor said, no, we got to get you off this because it's addictive. So they took her off and put her on something else. Her addiction gate was open. So she had to shut that gate or keep shoving something through there to get through the day. And her poison of choice, I guess, would be she started huffing these computer duster spray cans, like 30 or 40 a day, just to get through it. So that was the one that took a long time. So you can see, like I said, you can see the gate of addiction. It's either has too much electrical activity in there. So to close that gate is trying to, like close your screen door during a tornado. It's not going to happen. Or there's not enough power there, where there's not enough power to latch a door shut. So what the neurofeedback does is it targets the exact area where the problem is, and I can explain that here. Let me share it on the screen. This is how we actually train somebody's brain. There's the eyeball here, the nose, and there's the ear. Those are those 6,800 boxes I was talking about. Now with that boy, we knew exactly where his target was and what frequency he had a problem with. Okay, it's that frequency. And he had a problem right there. So that's the only targeted place in the brain we're going to work on in that frequency. Now, this is where I said that talk therapy, it's kind of hard to talk the delta frequency to stay in their room and behave themselves right here. Okay. Medicine will increase or decrease your brainwave frequencies, but the whole brain. It will get to here, but what about here that doesn't need anything? That's when you start getting the side effects of the medications. That's when you got to start changing the medications. That's where you start having issues. So how we train this, when we train the patients, is we put uh, the headset on with all the sensors. We put headphones on them, and we know because of the brain map what frequency is struggling and where. So if we're looking at a screen like this, we're watching everyone's brainwave. It should be a nice smooth white line like this. But people that we see, it always ends up looking like this. Like their brainwave is lost. It's dysregulated, not synchronized. It's like it's walking around a dark room, does not know where the exit is. And it will continue not knowing where the exit is until someone tells it where it is, which is what we do. We will see in 5 minutes with the brainwave going up and down like this. In 5 minutes, if this is a sweet spot, every time it goes up and down through here, they'll hear a beeping sound. It'll go beep, stop, come back down, it'll go beep and stop again. If we hear the noise and we're not connected to it, it does nothing to us. If they hear it, in 3 to 5 minutes, you'll see that brainwave go like this, up and down, just straight across. That's where it's got to go. We take it back where it should be. So that's how we do it differently. And that's how we target it. And after we do, let's say we do 10 sessions like this, then when it came time to get more advanced areas, the networks, we start training the networks to get the information to pass from one area to the other one the way they should, at the speed they should. Not too slow, not too fast, just the right speed. And a high functioning brain that is working the way it should, a lot of the symptoms tend to disappear or lessen. This is not a magic bullet. It's not going to get rid of your stress. Stress is stress, but it is going to give your brain the ability to handle that stress a lot better. That's the key difference here. If you got a short fuse, it'll lengthen it. You know, if you can't sleep, this changes your sleep architecture. You can go to sleep again. I had a military guy with PTSD. He could not sleep more than 2 hours a night for 9 years. He had 30 jobs, 30 relationships, tried to kill himself twice. He just about get to sleep, and then you see his friend get blown up in the sandbox over in Afghanistan. So he came in and, you know, he did the VA route, which is talk therapy and medication. He did all that stuff, which is fine. You know, do what they tell you to do, what your doctor tells you to do. So he did all that. And then he came in to do a brain map. And when we went over the brain map, he wouldn't look up at the screen to see what was going on. And I said, why aren't you looking at the screen? He goes, well, I don't want you to tell me what everyone else did, which is, this is the way it is. Deal with it. It's not going to get any better. So then we started treating him. And as soon as we hooked him up and he started to hear those noises, 10 minutes later, you could see his shoulders drop like he was getting relaxed again. And he goes, man, this is how I used to feel after one session. And then I said, well, let's call that placebo because it was one session. But that night he got 4 hours of sleep. The next night, after the next training, he got 6. So he's sleeping like 6 to 8 hours a night now. This has been a decade ago. He's got the same job. He's married, has kids. He's not jumping anymore. So that's what I'm saying. If you can see it in the brain where the problem is occurring and you can change that back to where it should be, a lot of these symptoms tend to go away or ease up.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's also, and like I said, this also works great for kids on the spectrum. You know, I mean, the nonverbal kids, they start to talk. It's like I could tell the parents of a severely autistic child that I'm not going to put him on he's not going to make a Heisman Trophy winner, but you know, I will make him more socially responsible, acceptable, and it does help a lot with those kids as well. There's just a big area of, you know, if you can see it and you can measure it in the brain, you can change it. Like I said, technology is so advanced, you can get right down to the exact problem where it is, and you can address that. We currently see these 6,800 boxes, but we're going up to 14,400 boxes, so it's more accurate, more detailed, more targeted. So there's no electricity going in the brain. It's not shock therapy or anything like that. You just hear beeps and tones at specific times. You know, we have decades, you know, 100 years of experience in coming up with the protocols to get the right one for you, your family, and your friends. So that's it for my presentation, unless you guys got more questions.
Yeah, I have, what kind of energy is used to get the initial brain map? You have the cap line, and what's being sent in between the cap and the skull?
All the sensors, with the sensors, let me see, there's sensors on the cap, okay, 19 of them. And under that sensor is a raw signal. You know, we take that raw signal, break it down into 9 frequencies. And then we measure that. We see what the frequencies, each 9 of them are doing under that sensor. And then we submit the reports, and that's when we get the 180 pages of reports. There's nothing going on. They're just sitting there 5 minutes with their eyes open, 5 minutes with their eyes closed.
Okay.
Did that end? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does this differ from other EEG systems?
Well, there are other systems out there. We target areas, and there's probably 300 people in the world that do it at our level, because we go to specific targets. The other things that are out there, there's other, obviously there is more other, neurofeedback machines out there, but they do more ratio training or amplitude training, which is not that technical. Some of them don't even do a brain map, so they can't even target. They wouldn't know where to go. But I mean, if that's your problem right there, those boxes right here, that's all we're going to work on. All the basic ones out there can't just go after these 6 boxes. So there is a difference in equipment. This is FDA cleared, approved. Yeah. So
So, I mean, simply put, the specificity and the location of therapy is significantly
more,
better.
I say it's more clinical with what we have than what the other ones are. I mean, some of them out there, they say, this is a neurofeedback machine. You can take it home, you can rent it, you can treat yourself, 20 times a day, your family, your dog, and everybody. I mean, it's not that clinical to be doing that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, thank you for your time and presenting this, and I appreciate it. Dan or Seth, anything? No, good. 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 Well, then, other than that, thank you for your time, and I look forward to taking everyone's questions and helping with the brain map.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later. All right.
Have a great night.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care.